You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest today. We have Philip Klein. Phil, we've known since 2018 now. It's been
it's
been a while.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, if for people who don't know Phil Klein, we met him on the set of Up and Vanished when we were out there for the Oxygen show, looking our first foray into the Molly and Colt case. And Phil was a private investigator, was hired by the family, by Molly's family, to look into the case. And I just remember being astonished about all the stuff that he had found so early on, when unfortunately the local law enforcement wasn't really up to the task and wasn't really doing what needed to be done. But Phil dug in pretty deep, pretty quick. And a lot of the stuff that we talked about on the podcast is information that Phil came up with. So Phil, thanks for being on. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Glad to be here. You guys look great. And I will tell you that Molly and Colt's case has been probably one of the most emotional cases that has come through this office. I really think that my guys did a great job. Since I sit at the top of the hill, everybody wants to congratulate me, but it was a lot of hard work by a lot of hardworking investigators.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff that Paula was following up on is stuff that you handed her over after you stopped investigating it, but you were always still looking into it, but you weren't getting.
We never stopped investigating. Let's go ahead and disparage that real quick.
Okay.
We never stopped really investigating. What we did was we made a conscious decision right after I did your thing in 2018 and gave that information out. We stopped being public about it. And that was the thing. We kind of all met in the room next door. We call the war room. And we made the decision that we were just going to kind of take a step back, be quiet. There was a lot of infighting going on with law enforcement. As you know, we were able to get Joe Russell and we were able to get his badge. And that's what we wanted to do. One of the biggest drug dealers on the Texas-Oklahoma border. We got rid of him. We got rid of a judge. We got rid of a DA. It was a convoluted mess is what it was. But we managed it straight through. Luckily, we had support from the FBI and the OSB. So, that we just kind of took a step back, just kind of quietly, and we fed them with the information that we were getting. And people would go, "Where'd you get that?" They say, "Don't worry about it. Just keep going." And then, of course, I guess I'm a friendly face up there after this last week.
Yeah.
I came into Wilson, and then the phones all started going nuts. He's here. His team's here. And, that's what kind of precipitated everything to where we are today.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the recent news that just came out yesterday where the medical examiners basically came out and said that their deaths are unknown origins? They don't have an answer.
It was kind of one of those. Okay, so with us being quiet, we made a lot of friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And during the search, we started getting pictures back of the skulls, we started getting pictures back of the tib fibs, the radius, the ulnas, the body, and we started getting pictures of what they were wearing and the other stuff that was found, which is the cell phones and and nobody knows that. I guess I just let everybody know that we got some cell phones out there, and we got some jewelry and that sort of thing, watches and that sort of thing. So what am I shocked about? Absolutely nothing. I kind of had the indication that that's the direction that they wanted to go. I have not seen the forensics report. I'll be honest with you. I haven't. We withdrew. We made the formal withdrawal, I think, last Thursday. We made the formal withdrawal last Thursday. But we stayed on board in order to give information to a grand jury, coordinate with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which, by the way, may I say, God bless those guys. They are the best. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not like they have 100 cases on file. You get some of these guys, some of these seasoned investigators, I wish they'd been around day one. I mean, I would have never met you guys, but
Exactly.
I wish to have been day one. So then we had the briefing and we talked, and we'll discuss that if you want to a little bit later. But I was not shocked when it came out. I was kind of, I figured that. I can tell you guys, in what I saw of the skulls, there's no doubt in my mind there was a homicide, and it was exactly how some of those kids had described it when they were on the phone talking about the broken leg, number one, Molly trying to run away, number two, and there was a GSW, I think, in the back of Colt's head, no doubt in my mind. There was some other impending damage that I wanted to see the archaeologist do. I've recommended already to both families. They've heard from me, and I've recommended to them both that they send them down to Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. And they have one of the best forensics division in the United States of America. And if Texas Tech won't take them, I know someone who will, and that's the Jehemchek Center down in Harris County, Houston, Texas. They will take those remains and they'll investigate it. But it's up to the families now.
Can they do that? Can they move for another Emmy?
Absolutely.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's how we got the Tom Brown case. When Tom Brown's body was found, and everybody said, well, North Texas said, well, we just don't know. And we went, what? You don't know? What do you mean you don't know? Undetermined. Okay. And I talked to our clients, and I said, hey, you have options. Well, no, I mean, they said we don't. I said, oh, yeah, you do. And you need to call
I had no clue.
Call down the Texas Tech Center. And that's when we had to file a lawsuit, and we had to do all these things. And the judge was going, whoever receives the body as a family member has the right to have a second examination and a second opinion. And if they don't like that, they can have a third examination and a third opinion. Now, it gets kind of ridiculous if you go shop this all over.
Exactly.
But if all three come up and say, we don't know, well, then you got to, we don't know. And I've been on a lot of those cases. A lot of those cases down in Harris County that we're involved with now, where the bodies are being found in Buffalo Bio. A lot of those are, we don't know. And, you go, well, yeah, you do. You just don't want to have the serial killer slapped on the city of Houston, because that's going to scare everybody. I get it. I understand it. I understand homicide guys. That's the way they think. But yeah, you got families out there that want to know what happened to their loved ones. And that's the way we look at it. We want to bring answers to these families, and we're able to do that. So, long story short, I think I think where they're going to go with it is, I think they're going to make a couple of phone calls, and I think that they're going to probably end up down at Texas Tech with both of the bodies. One may not. I don't know. The Haynes family and I are not really on good talking terms, simply because of the progression of the case and the inability to communicate, number one, but mostly number two, the back and forth, which is, I'm a bad guy. I've been a bad guy since day one. He's a liar. It's just all that hyperbole that went on up there in Oklahoma. When you go, well, I never said that. Why would anybody come up with that? And then, of course, at that time, if you'll go back and remember, I had those stalkers after us.
Yep.
And they tried to tear my firm apart. And both of them are dead, by the way. So one was found in Arizona with his throat slit, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and they haven't solved that case. They have no suspects in that case. The home that he was in had been cleaned, meaning there was no fibers, there was no DNA, there were no fingerprints. Even on the doors, there weren't even fingerprints. In the bedrooms, there were no fingerprints. It had been cleaned professionally. And why, I don't know. Don't want to get into that part of it.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, he's in hell, and that's where he needs to be. And then his attorney, by the name of Jeffrey Durrell, who had cancer, in which I didn't really like Jeffrey, but towards the end, as Jeffrey was dying, and he took my deposition, which you can see on YouTube. You just Google Philip Klein deposition, and it'll pop right up, be number one. You can watch my actual deposition that took 4 hours on another silly case that he was just trying to hit our insurance companies and get our insurance companies to drop it. What he didn't know is before he died, we were preparing a lawsuit with some TROs on it to stop it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it turned out that way, but I'm glad you're okay.
Hey, here's the good point. Now everything's back to normal, and we're kicking butt and taking names. I mean, we've had 9 fines in the last October? 9.
Wow.
9. Some of them, as you guys know, we can't say anything due to litigation or
sure.
Hospital. But we found 9 bodies in the last since October.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple months ago when they found the remains, and and how did you find out, and what was your reaction when you found out?
So we were feeding them with information. It's not well known, but we'll tell you today. We were feeding information to them on mapping of the areas that we were looking for. They wanted to start back up on the Wilson property. Now, the Wilson property is no longer the Wilson property, it's somebody else now. But they wanted us to go through what Trace Sargent, who is probably the best dog handler in the United States.
Love Trace. Love her.
She's just the best. And everybody else. So anyway, I want to make it as short as I possibly can. We did what we call a grid search. And we gridded out the area and we started where the car was found, right? And we gridded it out. Okay. So during our portion of that search, which, again, everybody said, oh, you never searched. Oh my God, we were there 14 times. I talked to Tim Miller just a minute ago, and he told him I was doing a thing with y'all, and he passes along hello. And I told him, I told him the same thing. If you were to grid it, give me your map on gridding. So I sent him a map. He gridded it down. And then that was like a year or two ago when Bureau came in. And so we've been working on these maps, and we kept feeding it to them. And then there was a question about 4 weeks before the find. They said, this area, we can't find anybody that was involved in the search that searched this area, which was less than 500 yards from, if you will recall, where the big dig was. We brought in the track hose, where the dogs were all going nuts. We had every investigator we knew down there. We had OSBI, anthropologists. We had everybody in there. And so they started saying this area, 200 to 500 yards to that would be to the
northwest.
West, to the northwest, kind of, west northwest, I wanted to say, but to the northwest was never searched. And I was like, yeah, are you sure about that? We were told by a couple of the Love County sheriff's deputies that it was searched. And therefore we didn't bring in, the dogs to that area because you had already searched it. I don't think the deputy, and I know him real well, I've known him for a while and he's now passed on. I don't think he did it on purpose. I think what he did was, I think he got confused on what we were talking about, because he told me, no, we searched it on horseback, we searched it on ground, it was search number 6 in our books, and we were like, okay, if you say so. And he said the same thing to the FBI. He said the same thing to pretty much everybody involved in the case, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, everybody. No, that had been searched. And so I couldn't find it on mine. So I asked them, I said, did you find it on yours? And they go, no, there's no search that had been done in that square area. I think it was like a quarter square mile. And I said, oh no, we need to get people up there. And so that's when they put together search 1. And then the second search is when they found the bodies. It was up on top to the north, I'm going to say northwest of a hill called Rattlesnake Hill. Why do we call it Rattlesnake Hill? Because there's rattlesnakes there. Right? I can't tell you how many rattlesnakes we kicked up there. I've been up to Oklahoma in the last year 2 times, 3 times, and gone back into that area, into that ravine, just to make sure we didn't miss anything, because the dogs were hitting on it like crazy. And what happened, we figured out, was up on top of Rattlesnake Hill, that's when you go over this like little slump and you go down into another ravine. There's another ravine. So some of the little tributaries feed into the ravine we were looking at. Now, if you recall, the ravine we were in is right where the big tree branch broke. And if you remember, we had the recording of, let's say, some of the suspects saying, yeah, Colt fell out of the tree and broke his leg. Well, sure enough, you look straight up where the dogs were hitting, there's the tree and there was the break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, we you took us there. We were there with you, and that was the same day that Con was has his laser sight on us.
Exactly. You were there. You saw the red dot. Yep. I had the red dot on my chest. I wish he would have pulled the trigger. It would have been easier on all of us, because we could have taken him right there. But anyway, you go back up that hill. If you remember, you both were there. Remember, at the top of the hill. Mm-hmm. You go down a little slope, and there's that other ravine. Tributary there. The working theory from the guys that are 10 times smarter than me are that they ran off up that way, or they tried to run off and they shot him. Now, the other theory is they think that Colt was shot right there in the ravine where we were, mm-hmm. Drug his body up there near Molly. And I'm in on that. I mean, I'm in on that. That works physically, and working the pace of the case of the layout from the dogs. I'm okay with that. I mean, we always told the media that we felt it was on the NIP property. We felt both of the bodies were. Well, right from where the bodies were found to the line, where the NIP property was, at that time, they've sold it since, but the NIP property was less than 700 feet.
Yeah, I know. We were right up against the line there when we were standing behind your SUV when you had the laser sight. We were probably maybe like 50 yards from their fence property line.
And that's the funny thing is I get all the time is there was no laser light. You didn't. Nobody was shooting at y'all.
I know.
There's 2 witnesses right here.
Yeah, it was on her.
It was on my head. We even said it on camera. And my DP, who was in the Army, she was like, Cindy, don't move. You have a laser on your forehead. And we looked with the binoculars, and it was Con Nip. I could see his face.
Yep, there you go. You can see it. And what do you do? He's on his property. He could say, I'm just looking through my scope. I had an unloaded gun. I just, I don't think people really realize, and let me say this straight up, I don't think people really realize how some of these people are up there are so dangerous. Colby Barrick, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a nightmare. I mean,
Well, Joe Russell.
Well, tell a story about when he pulled a gun on you.
Well, what we did was we wanted to go down and interview him. And we interviewed who we deem in this company Sweet Pea, whose car it was that Con Nip took and went on the chase. We always thought she knew more. I mean, Pillow talks a lot. I mean, I don't care what anybody tells you. I mean, you get into some of these homicides, you go right to the families first and find out who's pillow talking who. And then you go through the thing. I'm sorry. Right after she yelled and screamed and jumped up and down and jumped around and got all excited, Miss Fincher, Sabrina she knew what happened, and she still knows what happened. But anyway, in my opinion, I believe that. But what happened was, we told Sabrina we were leaving. We're going out to Long Hollow Drive, and that's where we were headed. We think she got on the car and phone and said, "Hey, they're coming. They're on their way." So Steve Hartman and I showed up, and we got out of our unit and said, "Hey, how you doing?" The one thing we did we really did smart, was before we got out on Long Hollow, we're on Oswald. We pulled over on Oswald in a little area, and we put our identifiers on, which is our shirt with our identifiers, and we went with our sidearms and with extra magazines, just as we always do. It was me and Steve. What was I going to do? Call Joe Russell?
Exactly.
So we went down there, and I alerted the FBI that we were going down there. I called them and said, "Hey guys, we're going down here, FYI." And they said, "Who's your next of kin?" And everybody laughed, but it really wasn't a laughing matter.
No.
We got to him. The first thing I noticed about him is he was tweaking.
Colby Barrick?
He was tweaking. Anybody who doesn't know what tweaking is, you use a bunch of meth, you start having these tweaks, they call it, with your hands, and you start running around real quick and everything. Your heart rate goes up. His carotid was pounding. His eyes were glassy, pinpoint, going back and forth. So I looked at Steve. I said, maybe this is not the best time to try to interview him. But he kept the first words out of his mouth, which I have released now, the conversation between him and me, which I said, he said, "Well, I heard y'all were, you said that I killed somebody." I said, "I never said that. Law enforcement believes that, but I never said that. OSB, Oklahoma Highway Patrol, believes that, but I didn't say that. So calm down. Just calm down. Let's talk." I tried to get about 3 or 4 sentences out of my mouth, and I mentioned something about Molly, and he just flew off the handle. And he ran over on the other side of his little trailer that he was living in with Jennifer. It was his wife. And I didn't even see the boy in the car, but he ran over to this red pickup truck. And the kid was trying to get out of the car, and he opened the door and pushed that kid across the thing, and he hit his head, and he started crying. I said, "Hey, whoa, calm down, man." And he jumped in that car, and he ran forward, and then all of a sudden he ran backwards like he was going to ram one of the big old Tahoes that we have that was an armored Tahoe, and he was going to ram the Tahoe. And then at the last second, he peeled off and went into the ditch. The poor little boy went against the windshield. And I was like, oh my God, my heart just broke for that little boy. He was screaming and crying in there. Well, the door opens, and here he comes. And the first words out of our mouths are, "Hey, can we help you?" He's like 20 feet away from us, maybe 30. And I said, "Are you okay? Can we help you? Is everybody okay?" And Steve was like going over there, going to reach in the back of our Tahoe and get the med bag. Mm-hmm. And I went, "Hold on, Steve." And you can hear it in the background. Steve goes, "Okay, hold on." And then he opens his door again, and here comes Barrick with a gun out of the back seat and swings around on us. Well, before he could swing around on us, I mean, you know, you're always anticipating. We both had him dead to rights. I mean, you know, he was fixing to get a Glock sandwich, and he just looked at us, and he knew he was dead. One of us was going to die on our side, but he was going to die either way you look at it. I mean, we just had him down. And the boy said, "No, Daddy, don't. No, Daddy, don't."
Oh my God.
And at that point I snapped, and something in my head, because we're trained a little bit different. We're not trained like police officers. We're personal protection officers in Texas under DPS. If you're pulling your weapon, you're pulling your trigger. I mean, that's the end of the story. If you don't follow that command, you're going to lose the battle every time, because they got you dead to rights. Because the only time you pull your, you know, look at the Secret Service, the only time you pull your weapons is if you're under fire. And we're trained the same way. And so I knew one of us was going to get hit, and it was going to be me, because he had me dead to rights. And then the kid screamed, and he put the gun down. And then we said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to back off. We're gonna go out of here slowly. And he grabbed the kid and hit him a couple of times and threw him inside the trailer. And it was, guys, it was one of those things. Hush. It was one of those things. And so, you know, that was the scary one. That was the one where, you know, and then the one where you all were there, where they aimed a gun at us. And there was a couple other times that we got a little bit. Colby, I think, wanted to fight me one time. And I said, Colby, if you want me to take my gun off, I'll be glad to fight you.
So when Colby made that 911 call, do you think that was on purpose or an accident?
Butt dial.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind, it was a butt dial.
Yeah.
And I think what happened was, from what I'm hearing now, 7 years later, was Colby fell. His butt. He had the phone in his butt, and he hit the butt, and it was a substantial hit. And on those phones, you know, you have that automatic, you know,
emergency
911. Yeah.
And that's what happened. Yeah. That turned to be a really good thing.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. That was Moxie Lake that we actually ended up draining, and it got drained a few times. And that
yeah, well, yeah, you know, I did I believe in Moxie Lake? I didn't. Did I believe it for other bodies? I did.
Something's in there. We had we drained that thing twice, and we had 2 sets of federally accredited cadaver dogs that are unaffiliated with each other do that. And they hit all the time.
Dogs y'all were using?
Yep.
They're top notch. You know, her dogs are top notch. But
I know we've used Trace before. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
I think you were all right. I just think, I'm telling you, it happens in these investigations. You get so many law enforcement, so many PSB. You get so many. You know, Tim Miller will tell you the same thing. He's had it happen to him hundreds of times, where you searched an area and then you go back and go, God, did we miss anything? These are everybody keeps telling us this is where it happened. Then you come back in with the dogs 2 years later and search again, and then it's all of a sudden, whoops, there you go.
Yeah. But the only thing good about what happened there is that because when we looked for we had to call for upstate Oklahoma, and we got this this other guy named James Reed, I think his name is, and he had worked with the BIA a lot, and so he had driven all night, like 4 hours to come down there, and then when he got there, it was late at night, and by the time he got there, he pulled us aside and he basically said, he goes, "Listen, I was just called." He goes, "I can't tell you who it is, but he goes, this case is going to go federal." So they had heard what we were doing, and that's when the BIA, literally after we thought those dogs hit it on there, Toby Thomas, who owns the property, as soon as we left, he got a call from the BIA, and he goes, "You got to stop." He goes, "And you got to lock it down."
Yep.
And so
I think that law that changed, what was that, 216 or 217?
The McGirt law?
McGirt.
When was that? What was the year?
That it was only, I think it was like 2020, maybe.
Yeah, it was 2000. It was after we did the show.
Maybe so. And yeah. I was asked to come speak. That's why I'm asking. I was asked to come speak to the legislature regarding the ramifications to PSB, because, we do find a lot of bodies that are missing by law enforcement. Equally, law enforcement finds more bodies than we do, so I was trying to be as pragmatic as I can about it. And I just said, no, I choose not to. I'm not a citizen of Oklahoma. If I was, I might think different, but let's let y'all hammer it out. But it ended up being a great move because, again, I'll repeat it again. These guys at the Indian Bureau of Affairs, they are unbelievably on it. They are good. And
as soon as they took over, because it was interesting because there wasn't a lot of communication, but we kind of heard rumblings through the grapevine that things were happening and were happening fast. And it was very any leads. I mean, they were scouring over all these leads because we were getting tips from people that they were contacting. And I was like, whoa.
Well, I had one person in the media call me and ask me, do you feel foolish? So what do you mean, do I feel foolish? Well, you were right on top of the bodies and you missed it. Do you ever feel foolish? And I was like, no. Each case is different. Each case has its own different way to operate and to put it together and to search. And, does Tim Miller, the hero of everyone, does he feel embarrassed? No, he doesn't. It's just part of the job. Sometimes you get them and sometimes you miss them. The HPD, the best homicide division in the state of Texas. How many bodies did they miss down there in Buffalo, Ohio?
Yeah.
Well, either way, that's a silly question. You work you work so hard, and there's so much material.
Public. It's what they put towards the public, and then the public puts it on Facebook because remember, everything on Facebook is true, right? Remember that.
Absolutely.
Oh, please. We were with the Noah Presgrove case. What a nightmare on social media. You have no idea. And that's right down the street from Molly and Colt.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's just it's a crazy thing. So I don't feel foolish. I don't feel like I was hoaxed. Do I think the sheriff's department misled us? I don't know. I mean, it's in the back of my mind.
I would say yes.
It's in the back of my mind. I don't have any evidence towards that, but as they all say up there, especially those guys in the Fed side, they all say, Klein, you came in here and cleaned house, and it helped this community. I don't know the new sheriff up there. The old one just died. I don't know the new. I don't have anything to do with them. I don't want anything to do with them. Carter County, they've turned over twice now. So I just, I knew that I needed to stay with consistency. Kind of what you all do. Stay with consistency. Always go with what you know. I remember standing on top of a mountain on the Ember Graham case up in California.
When you went up there, did you talk to the BIA at all about all of this?
I did not. What I did was, I don't like to bother law enforcement just to go around and drink a cup of coffee and chat. I don't like to do that because I'm not that way. Makes sense. I just don't. I have a job to do. I go in and do my job. My crew does their job. And we get back here to the office and we put together what we've got. The samples we took, the dirt samples, we will be turning over to them. Everybody's like, dirt samples? What? Well, it has blood pathogen in it. So, we're able to possibly do something with that. They have called us. Would you please, turn that over to us? We're going to package it up and send it. Or I might just drive it up there. I don't know. I like to get away every once in a while. And and I have another case up there that I'm messing around with. And so my point is that I have had phone interaction with them. I have not had one-on-one interaction with them. So I probably do need to do that. But let's let it all cool down now that we've got this yesterday thing. Let's see.
I know.
They may just say, no, we're not going to do anything with it.
A Mochi moment from Mark, who writes, I just want to thank you for making GLP-1s affordable. What would have been over $1,000 a month is just $99 a month with Mochi. Money shouldn't be a barrier to healthy weight. 3 months in, and I have smaller jeans and a bigger wallet. You're the best. Thanks, Mark. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Mark is a Mochi member compensated for his story.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
I don't know. That's up to them. They're the homicide guys. I'm not a homicide guy. I'm a finder.
Yeah. I mean, that's the troubling thing. And I think that's important to point out, is that because the other case that we have in the county next over is kind of the same thing. They're same medical examiner's office.
Except they said it was blunt force trauma, not a hit and run, but it's still not labeled a homicide.
Exactly.
I know. And you have to have a cohesive sheriff, a cohesive DA. I have another one that's, where you are in the county, I've got another one over towards Texas that I'm working on, that I buzzed through there again, where a boy got, they say, nobody knows, but he was obviously beaten to death. And according to his autopsy, but nobody knows. It's unknown. He could have been hit by a car and somebody just didn't know. And you just look at them and go, do you realize there's a mother out there and a father out there and siblings out there that are torn up over this? Come on, do better. And I don't know. We'll see.
Well, yeah. I mean, because if they determine it unknown, they can't label a homicide charge on it.
Nope, they can't.
So then it just goes away. Then what happens to it? What happens to it at that point? Then it just goes away. It's just they found these two bodies after 13 years, and
I don't know.
They didn't show up there by themselves.
These guys with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, they're pretty sneaky people, and I like that. I like sneaky people. And I can assure you that they may have come out and said that publicly. We think this is where we're going with it, but they didn't ever put a label on it yet. I have not seen it on my screen yet, and I have not seen it on this screen yet. If they did, I'd have to tell you, but I don't see it. Let me say this. They may be pawing these people in. They may be, ding dong, the witch is dead. Everybody's going to get away with it. Molly and Colt got killed, however they got killed. No. I'm telling you, with the skull I saw, two skulls, actually. The two skulls I saw, one of them, there's no doubt in my mind, it's a gunshot wound. No doubt. Been doing this 41 years. No doubt. 43 now. God, I'm getting older. 43 years. Wow. I can tell you that was a gunshot wound to the head. That was a gunshot wound to the head. No doubt in my mind. But
getting back to my question that I asked earlier, what was your reaction when you heard that they found them? Did you ever think they were ever going to find them?
Boy, that's a great question. I've had a long, and some people would say storied career. And every time we thought we had something in that case, we'd get excited and go, yeah, okay, let's go. It wasn't until I got the phone call from some of the people that were on scene and were taking pictures and had found the body. And then I didn't care about the skull, or that's for the forensics guys. I wanted to know what was close to them. And they started sending pictures back of Molly's wristwatch, I think there was one of two earrings, a chain that was very special to her that only we knew that she was wearing that night. And then her clothing, some of the clothing was there. That's when my heart kind of went, oh. As well as I do, whenever you get into a case such as that, and it's been going on so long, your emotions kind of get turned off. But then when something starts building up, you get going and your heart rate goes and your adrenaline pours. And I was on the phone calling Trace, and I was on the phone calling everybody here in this office, and I told everybody, come to the office now. I want you to hear it from me. And everybody's zooming in. You could hear the parking lot and the squeaking of the brakes in the parking lot out there. People were running in, and they'd yell at Caroline and say, which case? And she'd say, Miller. And we went, oh. And then I turned around after I got the official phone call, and I went, okay, we got her. And they went, what about Colt? I said, I think I did. And what did I feel? A lot of people would say relief. I wouldn't say relief. It made me want to prosecute those 4 people really badly. But, again, that's not my call. But, yes, I did feel a sense of relief. I didn't feel really relieved until I was walking out of the International House of Pancakes after I had dinner with our lunch, our breakfast, whatever we had, with Paula Miller, who, by the way, I love that woman. I'm telling you, she's a great lady. She is great. And she has a great husband, and they have a great life. I was very, very, very emotional. That was when my emotions let loose. The big old guys like me that carry guns for a living, you go sit in your Tahoe and you close the door and you see her pull off from the parking lot. And that's when the sense of, oh, man. Wow.
Resolution. A little bit of resolution there.
A little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you were in it right when it was hot the most in that beginning part, when Paula was and their family was leaning on you to get answers because they,
4 weeks. Yep, 4 weeks into it.
Yeah.
And getting news coverage because there wasn't any.
Yeah, well, that's the first thing I did. I got to say something about Caroline. She knows how to get the media interested. It did go national, regional, national, all the way from Atlanta probably to New Mexico. It went, because we may have 2 missing kids. We don't know. Look in your dumpsters, look in your trash cans, look in your trash bills. But Caroline has a knack for doing that, and she's good at it. She's good at it.
But was she wasn't there in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
was she?
Yeah, working
because
it out.
When I spoke to was Maureen, and she told us that Russell told her they were just runaways, and then they never put any coverage on it.
Yep.
No, he's talking about Caroline in his office.
Oh, Caroline in your office. Oh, I thought you were talking about Caroline.
Caroline here.
I'm talking about the news reporter from KXII.
Okay, let me help you with that. When we deal with the media on these levels that you all deal with and that I deal with, sometimes they're hiring these little girls and boys that get in front of a camera, and they're the camera person and the speech writer, right? And they get their cell phones and they read off of their cell phones.
Oh, yeah.
Molly Jones went missing yesterday.
I know. I know. It's that's the thing. But what we're saying is that in the early days, you got the media involved from your office, which was great because the actual local news was not covering the case because they were being told by the sheriff's department that they were runaways. There was nothing to see here. So
that's when Sheriff Joe Russell sent me the warning.
Yeah.
What warning did he?
Stay off TV. Told me stay off TV, and I wouldn't stay in any hotel in Love County. That's for sure.
No.
That's why we moved our base of operations to Ardmore, and we based out of Ardmore for I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Joe Russell on this latest documentary that was on AMC.
Did you see that?
Did you see that? It's called Never Seen Again. It's a show called Never Seen Again or something like this. Or It Couldn't Happen Here. I think it's called It Couldn't Happen Here.
I've seen the show. I don't know what it's called, but I've seen it.
Either way, Joe Russell was on there, you know, saying that he was innocent of all the things that happened in the grand jury.
Even the little
the same guy who told us and our host of Up and Vanished to go F the family. That's the same guy who was on the show with Colt's sister and Molly's mother.
Yep. I don't know what to tell you. You know, everybody's gotten pretty whipped up when Colt's sister got on television during that time period. Everybody kind of got really whipped up. And I couldn't understand why everybody was so whipped up, because she said a lot of stuff that was completely innocuous. I mean, there was nothing that had anything to do with anything else other than remember the birth of Facebook and how Facebook began to get so popular, right? And these were all Facebook rumors. Facebook was just now getting on these devices, and it was the rumor mill. One of the worst things that ever happened to all of us investigators is this. One of the best things that's ever happened to all of us investigators is this. It can go either way, good or bad.
Yep.
But we just try to work with Facebook on the algorithms by name, right? So Facebook security will call up there and say, hey, look, we got a missing person, anything with her name that pops up anywhere, would you let us know? And police do the same thing we do. And they have a legal department and they all handle it the same way we do. We can trace this thing out if and only if one person picks up the phone and calls and said, yeah, I saw this. I need to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And actually, I've been asked, how come we get so many calls here and not with the police agencies? I said, nobody wants to talk to the cops right now. Everybody's scared. Get pulled in.
They don't trust them. We got started the podcast immediately. And there were people that we obviously said we didn't want to. Recently, we just got a tip where someone that was there that night that was, with Con. And, and we had to obviously alter her voice, didn't reveal her identity, but she was there.
Yep. I know. And
she heard him say that I got to go feed them.
If I was Sabrina Fincher, and I'm not saying that's Sabrina Fincher, but if I were Sabrina Fincher.
No, it wasn't Sabrina Fincher.
I know it's not. I know who you're talking about. I would put my prettiest dress on, Sabrina Fincher, and if I were her, I'd put my pretty dress on, I'd do my makeup, I'd do my hair. In fact, I might go down to the hair lady and have her do my hair. I get in the car and I drive up to Oklahoma City and I go knock on the FBI's front door and said, hello, my name's Sabrina Fincher. I'd like to proffer. Sabrina, if you're watching this, it's called proffering. I'd like to proffer. Y'all know what proffer is? Go in and proffer. Get your little attorney from down there in Miss Fox and load in the car and go up there and give your proffer. Tell them what you know, because I'm telling you, these guys, if they declared a homicide, you're in the middle of it. And
we said the same thing. If I was her, I would never let a guy drag me through this like this. I mean, for God's sake, save yourself.
In her psychological model, Sabrina had been abused a lot. She was living with her grandpa at the time. I think her daddy abused her, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but I believe a family member abused her terribly. And I think that's when she lost all sense of common sense, which we see it all the time in cases. I mean, people that have.
Was she using as well?
Yeah.
That's a horrible story. That's a horrible thing. And if that's true, that's horrifying.
We feel bad for her. We feel like she's like an innocent bystander.
If I could talk to her, I would say, listen, protect yourself, protect
your family
and your family.
I asked her once when I was interviewing her, because she got kind of cocky with me. I don't know why you're always Con's too sweet of a soul to do anything like that. And I looked at her, I said, Sabrina. And I said it just like this. Sabrina, if that were you laying out there somewhere, what would you want me to do? I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to go find the son of a bitches that did it. And I want you to go find my body. And I said, Sabrina, what am I doing? She goes, yeah. And that's the first time she broke character. And she looked down. I know.
She was super young then too. I mean, this is 13 years ago, I just would get ahead of it. I would not wait. I wouldn't wait if I were her. I would.
Any one of those four needs to get ahead of it right now. I believe.
I do too.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because we're all in agreement here that they all know a lot more than they're telling.
Of course.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. And and Molly, Molly was a young kid, and she was hanging out with these people, right? She was hanging out with these certified psychopaths that carried guns, and they didn't care in their county if they were carrying a gun, because guess what? They're all felons, but hell, there's no law in Love County. There's no law in Love County. I was just up there. There's still no law in Love County. There's just not. You see these young police officers running radar. And I went up on top of the hill and I watched them run radar. And they were pulling over not the cars that were going, wow, wow, wow. They pulled over the fancy cars, the $70,000 Suburbans, the coming out of Dallas, Texas, the Maseratis. They're pulling them over as fast as they can get them pulled over. I get where they're coming from. They're raising revenue for the sheriff. I get it. I don't have a problem with that. But what I don't get is while they're out there on the highway and they're not doing drug intervention, so it's not helping anybody other than the sheriff's office getting that money, I believe fully and totally that nothing's changed.
No.
Nothing's changed. And so the keepers up there that, I walked in the door. This is a cute story. I walked in the door down there on Long Island, what was it called? Pike Road. And
yep.
Right down there, there's a convenience store, an old convenience store, has old gas pumps, and it's right across the street from some golf course and stuff. And I'm out there and I'm trying to get back into Oswald. And I walk in, and this nice lady, she's so sweet. And she said, "Hello, Mr. Klein." And turns around and gets me a big old Diet Dr. Pepper. And I was like, that's my favorite drink in the world. And I'm like, oh, yeah, And she goes, "Can I come around there and give you a hug?" I said, "Well, what for?" And she goes, "Just let me give you a hug." And all she said in my ear was, "Thank you. You brought peace to our community." I tell you what, talk about tearing up.
In addition to getting the tips from Molly, now we've also gotten a lot of tips basically telling us to expose a lot of the corruption down there as well, because
other cases that they think are linked to this, which we're going to start doing soon. It's not only this. You have the Noah Presgrove case literally down the street in Jefferson County, and it's the same thing. We're going through the same thing with this. I can't even believe it.
Yep, it happens. It happens everywhere. Technology is great, but technology doesn't cover the gamut for guys like us. It just doesn't. Sometimes, I just solved the case of missing a teenage girl, ended up being a suicide out of Coons, Texas. And her phone and law enforcement was like, "Well, we see her phone and hadn't moved, and no. So where's her car?" "Well, I don't know. I don't know where that car is." "Okay, help me here. What kind of car is it?" "Well, it's a brand new car," whatever it was. I said, "Okay, let's log into the XM radio and we can find out where the car is."
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I didn't know you could do that."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're all computers now.
Everything you can do it to
We're driving computers. We're walking around with them.
Yeah.
I know.
We're wearing them on our watches.
I know. And we found the car, found her body sitting next to a bridge she loved to go to, and sit and listen to water go by, and she shot herself because her boyfriend broke up with her. Come on.
Horrible.
16. Come on.
Horrible.
Ridiculous. But those are the kind of cases you were seeing now. And their kids are getting smarter. They're leaving their cell phones at home. They're learning how they can be tracked. The flock system, which is huge here in Texas. Is in California pretty big? Y'all have?
I don't know what it is. Explain to me what it is.
Okay. So flock is the new system that there's these little cameras that sit on the side of the road, and you can be a flock sponsor. My corporation is a flock sponsor. And we point the camera down, and it's run by Sun, right? It's rebuilt by Sun, and and you get pictures of license plates going.
Okay, it's a reader. It's a reader.
It doesn't record your voice or anything else. And then we have a flock that we're putting up on our building up here that we're able to double do it. So if there's like did that flock get it really good? Was it moving too fast? What, was it a blur? Was it a misfire? We can get that. There are approximately in our city right now, we're in a town of 8,000. There is 17 flocks up, and with mine coming up, that'll be 20. I know there's a guy down the street. There's going to be 25 more. I mean, we're putting them everywhere. And basically what it does is in child rescue, kidnappings, it lets us know if we get an Amber Alert that we can trace the car under the Amber Alert. And we can follow where that car is going all the way to the highway. Highways, they got flock everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a private company that's doing it.
Do they list where they are, or they just leave them there? They don't tell anybody where they are.
They don't tell anybody where they are.
Okay.
I don't care. People know. I mean, I'm getting lit up right now on the internet about it, that we're using the flock system. We are a sponsor. We will put in whatever it takes. But since that time, parentally kidnapped children, we found 5.
Wow, that's amazing. That was the thing I was going to ask too. Like Molly was only 17. She should have had an Amber Alert on her.
I think, well, yes, but remember, you have a corrupt sheriff. He's not going to do that.
I understand that. Yes, but I'm just saying that's one of the other things too that they didn't do. They didn't do it.
I showed up.
When you went and found the machete and that gun,
it was given it to him.
Was given to you. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened?
Sure, that's a great story too. That's another great story comes out of this case. We were going down to interview a little boy that was talking to Molly at, I think, don't quote me on this, 7:45 in the morning. Molly was talking to this young man. He's a good young man. Graduated from school with mechanics degree. He's doing big 18-wheelers. I mean, this kid's a smart kid. They call him the tractor doctor. And so I went down and I was talking to him. Well, his dad comes out of the house. They had a little warehouse behind their house. And we were talking to him, Steve Hartman again, and I. And his daddy comes out and says, "Excuse me, you talking to my son? He's 18 years old. I can talk to him." "Well, who are you?" I said, "My name's Philip Klein. I'm an investigator on the Molly Miller case." "Oh, hell, tell him what you know." Well, there we go. And then his father says at the end of the interview, his father says, "Come over here for a minute. I don't want to say this for my son. You see that house at the end of my street?" I said, "The green one?" He goes, "Yep." I go, "Okay, yeah, I see it." He goes, "Go there." I went, "What for?" He goes, "Go there. Trust me, you'll be happy you did." I went, uh-oh. So, of course, this crazy and as wild as we think, immediately we pull out our guns, check our guns, rack one in, make sure we're ready to go, and we go down to the door, and I knock on the door. "Hi, how are you, Mr. XYZ?" And he goes, "I'm good." He goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "My name's Philip Klein." Showed him my ID. So I'm from Texas. I'm here on the Molly Miller case. "Well, damn, it's about time." I said, "Excuse me?" "It's about time you were here." I said, "What are you talking about?" "Come in, sit down." So Steve and I went and sat down. He's a nice man, very nice man, offers us a cup of coffee. We drank some coffee with him, talked about football. And then he says, "Well, let me tell you why I told them to tell you to come here." I said, "What was that?" He goes, "Under your feet, there's a gun." I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Under your feet. Look underneath the couch." I said, "Steve?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Go get us some gloves." We wear gloves on everything now.
Mm-hmm.
"Go get some gloves." And he goes, "Okay." Came in, got some gloves. I said, "Get some bags too, some evidence bags." And he came in. He tells me the story. At Con, right after Molly went missing, Con came over to his mother's house. He was dating his mother at the time. And she said that Con came over and gave her the gun. 9mm. We're all like, okay, that's what we got evidence of. Gave us the gun, we bagged it, we tagged it. We had him sign it, we signed it. What's the story? Well, She came over here with that gun and a machete, telling me that Con said to her, this Molly thing is going to get me in trouble. I wasn't the one that shot her. Push the gun, keep the gun and the knife and then in the what's it called? It's a big knife, machete.
Machete.
Yeah, and you keep it over there. That way, Ronnie Hampton will never know. Ronnie Hampton. Now remember, Ronnie Hampton at the time we were there still was like a dog chasing a bone. I mean, I love Ronnie Hampton.
So do we.
Ronnie Hampton.
He's a great man, and he's Oklahoma Highway Patrol. Great officer.
Is he not one of the best law enforcement officers you've ever met?
Absolutely, I get
1,000%.
I mean, so I get on the phone and I call Ronnie and I said, Ronnie, Philip, yeah, how's it going down there? Ronnie, I need to meet you at OHP headquarters. Let's go do it. He goes, okay, let's go. And meet me up there. He said, you want to meet at the Egg? I said, no, I don't want to eat anything. I'm nauseated right now. I need to get rid of this evidence I just got. Holy shit, what'd you get? Get in the car. Go up there. Hartman and I are waiting in the parking lot for him. He zips in there like a bat out of hell, jumps out of his car. He had one of those fancy, nice cars. I can think it was a Camaro or something. He jumps out. Come on, Philip, what you got? What you got? I brought it in there. I said, told him the story I just told you. Gave him the guy's information and the name. He signed. The guy signed his name to a sworn statement, and then he opened it up and he looked at it and he goes, "Oh my God!" I said, "Yep, I think that's the weapon." This case always was upside down from the beginning. This is what we call in the business an upside down case. We had all the evidence first, without the bodies, right?
Yeah.
Usually we find the bodies first. Y'all
and you
know.
backtrack it.
Yeah, then you backtrack it to the weapon and who was what and who owns what. It was flipped. Okay, totally flipped. This case was totally flipped. He says, "Well, what you got there?" I said, "That's a hatchet or a
machete." Yeah.
Machete. And we all had gloves on, and he looked at it. He goes, "Oh God!" And we never told that story up until our podcast last week, and it was a shocker. And I don't know what fingerprints they got off of it. If there was any. I don't know what DNA they got off of it. I know it was DNA test. We got Justin Brown with the OSBI on the phone real quick. What do you want to do? Let's get that up to our headquarters so we can do the forensics on it. And I was like, "Do you want me to bring it?" And Ronnie goes, "No, I can drive up there. I'll do it." And so Ronnie got it up to him. And was it I really can't say anything because I'm going to have to go in front of grand jury, but I can tell you that there's water in that pool. And so, there's a lot of little things that are going to come up and make someone try to explain himself. Now, Con says to his mama, "I didn't kill him. I didn't shoot him." He didn't say, "I didn't kill him," or "I didn't beat him." He said, "I didn't shoot him." In some ways, in my mind, and I'm pretty good with people, that we had one other person on our team that she could tell us really what was thought. She was very good insight on that, but she's moved on to other pastures now. And I remember her telling me at one time that she felt that Con was telling the truth on certain things. Con's a liar. He's just a psychopathic liar. He's a criminal. But some things, you know how they give you half and then the other half's a lie? He was kind of that guy. And when he told his mother that, I think that's probably maybe true. Maybe he didn't shoot him. Who do I think the shooter is? I'm just telling you from the forensics evidence that I've heard of and the information I've heard of, I think Colby Barrick is the trigger man. I do. I think it's Colby Barrick. And do I think Con was there? Yeah, I think Con was there. Do I think Con needs to go for the rest of his life? Absolutely. Absolutely. Colby had motive, in my opinion. Cody had motive. He didn't want to go back to prison for a car chase. Did he? He didn't want to go back.
You mean Con?
No, Colby Barrick. Colby was involved in this. Colby went up to the top of that hill and shot those kids, is my belief. I believe that. I'm telling y'all. Barrett's involved in this. Con.
Do you believe there's anybody other than those two that are involved in this?
There's one other one that I was looking into before I decided let the guys up there in the Indian reservation take care of it.
That's fine.
They got my notes. They got my notes. They got our evidence. They got our photography. There was some photography. There's some surveillances. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. We surveilled them. We sat on top of a hill and surveilled them a long time. We know they know how they do things. We know the image play they were doing. You guys deal with image play all the time, where the bad guys say, "Oh, well, they get somebody to call and say the hotline and say, oh, we put them in a barrel and we poured acid in there, closed the barrel up, and we buried the barrel." That comes right out of Breaking Bad. I mean, we knew BS and a lie. I mean, we just knew that was just, that's so far-fetched. Nobody does that. First of all, where did he get the acid from? If they were smart enough, they'd know that we went to every single hardware store, every single grocery store, and we went through their inventories during that time period. How much did you sell and who did you sell it to? Hello, right? That's Investigator 101. And,
What do you think Colby's motive was?
Well, again, I think Con and Colby had the same motive. Con, they kept calling and had cell phones, and they were calling people to come find them, and they knew when they found them that Con would be arrested immediately for driving the car, because they knew Con drove the car. They saw Con driving the car.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the dispatch, yeah.
Yeah, well, that, and they saw him on the imaging systems, and he took off. Remember, it was black and white, but it was still, you could tell. And he took off, and who was the only one that knew how to go from Water Moccasin Road over to Pike Road, over to, break through a fence and end up in the middle of a field? Who knew how to do that? Remember, they all tried to go home, and that's what Con was trying to do. I do. A lot of people ask me this question about Con being a trigger man. I honestly don't think Con's got it in him. When you kill somebody, you're crossing a very big line. In fact, you got to jump over that line because it's so big. I don't know that Con. Now, would Con rob a bank? Absolutely. Would Con steal a car? Absolutely. Would Con
beat someone up for money? He'd beat someone up for money.
Beat somebody up for money? Would he try to scare somebody? Would he sell cocaine and meth for his uncle? Absolutely. He wouldn't think twice. But would pulling a trigger and shooting someone in the back of the head, that's pretty destructive. And that's not pretty, and it's not good. And if you have any ounce of care in your mind, that would be it. That's why I wanted to talk to Sabrina so bad. When I was in the case, I wanted to talk to Sabrina again so bad, is that I believe Con laid his head next to her, even though they broke up and they were butts to each other. I think that she would tell me, no, Con told me it was Colby. And that's what I believe. Now, why did Colby do it? Colby's nothing but a mean son of a bitch. And I've looked him in the eyes, my friend. And if he was out there smoking that stuff and he was tweaking, he'd pull the trigger. I know he would. I've been, 41 years. You've been doing it 41 years. You know the bad guys when you see them. I've interviewed them on death row before, not them, but I've interviewed guys on the death row and asked them, why did you pull the trigger? Why did you shoot him in the back of the head? Because I didn't want to see the bullet go between their eyes. I knew it would kill them fast. Hello.
Yeah.
Now, what was the big sword all about? Man, I don't know. I mean, that's going to have to be told by the forensics people up at Oklahoma City. They're going to have to figure that out.
Yeah. They still have it though, right?
They got the bodies. They're not releasing them.
No, I'm just talking about the evidence, the gun and stuff. Because we were told, because the thing that was happening early on with Paula is she would find stuff and then she would hand it over to Love County or OSBI. It wasn't Justin Brown at the time, it was another guy. And stuff would disappear. And then the other one, the information that, what was the guy's name? The older Love County deputy. I don't even know if he's
Jim.
still Jim Diggs.
Yeah, he's a horseback guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim was one of the horseback guys out there in the initial search.
Apparently he had stuff like materials and stuff like that was sitting in his garage till this day.
Still there.
Yep.
Still there. I don't think some of it's important, but I think there might be one or two things that are important, but I don't want to go over there and have to deal with the family and stuff. We'll let the let the professionals over at the tribe handle it. They'll do it. They're good guys. I'm telling you, I love them. They're good guys.
No, I agree. I agree. I think they're really good at what they do, and they took this case over and they took it over.
Yep.
And they did what needed to be done.
Yep.
Let's just want to handicap this for you right now, just to your prognosis. See what you can tell us. What you think? Do you think they will arrest someone and charge someone for the deaths of Molly, Miller, and Colt Haynes?
If I was a homicide investigator and I had a badge and a gun from a government, I would have already arrested them. I'd arrest all four of them. I think there's enough evidence to do that. Yes, I believe that. But again, I'm not a professional homicide investigator, and I know what they're up against. Okay, here's our case, DA. Well, it's not sufficient. We're going to let them go. I think that's the fear right now. You don't trust anybody. That's why I tell everybody, when you get pulled over by law enforcement up there, just be nice. Hi, here's my license. Here's my proof of insurance. Here's my registration. Well, I'm giving you a ticket today for going 55 and a 40. Thank you. Yes. Would you know you were going that fast? I did not know I was going that fast, but I'm trusting you. You're the radar operator. Write the ticket. Sign the ticket. Thank you. I'm sorry if it looks like I've been speeding. You have a wonderful day. Just get out of there. That's what I tell everybody. Just get out of there. The Wilson cops,
the whole crew got pulled over. Everyone got pulled over.
I got floated by the Wilson police. We have a tradition. I don't know if you have this tradition. Ever since I found my first dead one, and I know that's harsh to say, but it sounds harsh. But ever since I found my first dead one, I always go to a local florist, and I get a cross with some lilies on them, and unmarked, just a cross. And I think it's been pretty well documented on whoever they are, the TV stations that follow me, and I take it out to the scene and I put it on a tree near where the body was found, or the bodies were found, or the bodies were dug. And I put it up on a tree just as our gesture of closure and our gesture of honoring innocent people that didn't deserve to die that way.
No, they did not deserve
it. So I did that in Wilson. And while I was in there, there was a Wilson cop down the street and a Wilson cop on the other end of the street. And I was like, what? So I got in my car and I went out there and did that. And then I had a meeting with, I think the mayor, maybe it was the vice mayor. I don't know. And I went to a little hamburger place. Who knew it was there? And I walked in and sat down and got me my Diet Dr. Pepper. Thank God they had it. And he called me on the phone and said, well, I can't really make it. I said, oh, okay. All right. Well, if you need anything, let me know. And I hung the phone. I ate my hamburger, thanked the little girls in the shop, and they all did the same thing. Thank you, Mr. Klein. We really appreciate everything you guys did. And I walk out the front door. There's a Wilson cop there and a Wilson cop there. And I'm like, guys, really? I'm not here to stir your city up. I'm really not. I went around and shook everybody's hands, and the Miller family and, everybody else that would see me, and shook hands, gave everybody hugs, and wished everybody well. And, that's when I started telling the family, that I was withdrawing. I was going to file my motion to withdraw, and I did. And I just, I don't know. I have a big thought about the Haynes family. I feel bad for them too, but
we do too.
The big brother lied and the sister lied. They both lied. What was the motive for them lying? Well, probably if Colt was still alive, he wouldn't have to face drug charges, right? He wouldn't have to face charges for getting that. Maybe that's why she lied to me. I don't know. It was a blatant lie too, because we looked at her like, wait a minute, I think you're confused. Let's ask the question again. And we asked her the question again, and she was like, I was like, oh my.
Yeah, well, that's another Pandora's box. It's going to have to.
Pandora's box. You're right. You're so right. There's all these Pandora's boxes out there.
Exactly, and it's like it's built on noise and misinformation, and But what are you going to do?
Nothing. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
nothing. Nothing.
The good news is that we had Katie on here, Colt's, the mother of his child. Mm-hmm. And she's in a great place. His son's in a great place. He's doing well and he's thriving. She's married. She has 2 other kids. She's raising them in that same area. She has her own little business. And I'll tell you, talk about someone who's turned her life around. Because she said to us, it should have been me, not Molly.
Yep.
And
wild party that night. Let me tell you all something. That party was a party of parties. Everyone was smoking meth, smoking cocaine-infused marijuana. It was formaldehyde. What's that called? A stick. They were smoking stick.
Ugh.
When the kids finally started opening up to us, remember, we've done over 200 interviews. And so we got a good feel what was going on that night in Ardmore. And we get that it's just a car, 3 kids in a car that were so high they couldn't even see straight. And even Con admits that. Yeah, I was high. I was real high. And I felt sad for them. I felt, you got a kid that fixing to graduate from high school. What?
Yeah.
And she's that high running around. I don't know. And the Wilson cops down there who actually chased them, we got the opportunity to interview them. They were blown away by how fast they were going down Water Moccasin Road. The Shell Road down there.
It's amazing no one got killed.
120 miles an hour down the Shell Road. That car's lifted up, barely treading at some points. Yeah. Guys, I don't have an answer for you other than it was a bad night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, listen, we'd love to check back with you on anything else you want to talk about, but we really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I feel like, we've been through this together. I mean, you were boots in the ground. We came in later on, but when we first met you, we realized that, there's a lot more to this case than met the eye. And
may I give a big shout out real quick to you two, first of all, for staying on this case. This needs to be continually shoved down children's brains. Don't do this. Drugs are bad. Don't do it. This is what can happen to you. You mess up with the wrong people, this is what can happen. 2, Trace Sargent. Thank you, Trace. She was integral part of this. Integral part. I mean, integral part, from interviewing to dogs. She really, gives us advice. Trace has a saying. I don't know if you've heard her saying. It's, well, at least now we know where they weren't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then Charlie Klein, excellent job there. Steve Hartman, excellent job. And the whole tribe here. I'm so proud of them. And another thing I want to say to the people of Oklahoma, we love you. Thank you so much for allowing us to represent Molly. And it was our honor. And of course, none other than our good buddy, your good buddy, right? The one that made this all happen. She knows the players, and I'm glad she's happy. And
I tell you, we've never met anybody like that woman.
Nope, she's amazing.
I said, this is a book, right? And she looked at me. She goes, "Are you writing it?" And I said, "No, ma'am. This is your book. This is this is your story."
Yeah.
Anyway, if I was there, I'd give you both a hug and tell you.
Well, I appreciate it. Stay healthy. Keep that dog in there. He looks like he's bored with the whole thing now. He's asleep.
Oh, she's laying on the floor. Yeah, I know. I've got to take her out and do her routine with her cadaver and scented toys, which are
That's good.
That's awesome.
they're all over there.
All right.
All right,
All right,
Phil.
Phil. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much.
All right, guys. We love y'all. And if I can ever do
Take care.
anything, anybody, let me know.
She does a lot for your family. Mother's Day is your chance to show her you see it with a gift from a brand trusted for generations to help people get the moment right. 1-800-Flowers. With double blooms from 1-800-Flowers, buy 1 dozen roses and get another dozen for free. It's a bigger gesture, backed by 50 years of experience delivering fresh flowers, so you can feel confident sending something that lands. Show up for her with double blooms at 1-800-Flowers.com/Spotify. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/Spotify.